Something was breathing. That was the first problem. The second problem was that it wasn't him. He stayed still, mostly because moving felt like something that required permission he hadn't been granted yet. The air around him shifted in a slow, steady rhythm, warm, then cooler, then warm again, like the room had lungs and was very committed to using them. "Okay," he whispered, because silence felt rude under the circumstances. "That's new." The surface beneath him responded, not dramatically, just a slight adjustment as if it had heard him and decided to become more comfortable about it. He blinked. "I didn't mean to complain," he added quickly. The walls shimmered. Not visually, exactly. More like the idea of movement brushing against the edges of his perception. He frowned, trying to sit up, and the chamber reacted before he finished the thought. The structure behind him rose, supporting his back in a way that felt intentional. He froze halfway through the motion. "You're doing that on purpose." The chamber did not deny it. He sat there for a moment, considering his options. Panic was available, obviously, but it felt like overcommitting too early. He decided to start with confusion and work his way up if necessary. "All right," he said slowly, looking around. "Either I'm dreaming, or I've been kidnapped by something with excellent posture support." The surface beneath him warmed slightly. "I'm choosing to take that as a compliment." He lifted one hand carefully, watching how the air itself seemed to thicken around his fingers like it was paying attention. The moment the thought crossed his mind, "move," the chamber adjusted again, subtly aligning with him, making the movement easier. He stopped immediately. "No." The room stilled. He pointed at nothing in particular. "We are not going to anticipate my decisions. That feels like a boundary issue." A faint pulse moved through the walls. He narrowed his eyes. That was not agreement. He swung his legs over the side, expecting resistance. There was none. Instead, the floor rose just enough to meet his feet halfway, like it was trying to be helpful. He stared at it. "You're making this worse." The chamber somehow managed to feel mildly offended. He took a cautious step forward. The surface held firm but not rigid, like standing on something that was thinking about being solid. "Okay," he muttered. "We're stable, that's good. Stability is underrated." He turned slowly, and that's when he saw her. She hadn't moved. That was the third problem. She stood just beyond the translucent boundary of the chamber, watching him with a stillness that didn't feel passive. It felt deliberate, like she had been standing there long before he woke up and had simply decided to continue. He straightened instinctively. "Hi." No response. Her skin carried a deep, shifting blue, not flat or uniform but alive with subtle movement, like light traveling beneath the surface. Her long hair flowed in layered strands, pale and luminous, drifting as if gravity was more of a suggestion than a rule. And her eyes. He stopped thinking about her eyes immediately. "That feels unsafe," he said under his breath. She tilted her head slightly. It wasn't a big movement, but it was enough to suggest she had heard something, or understood something, or both. He cleared his throat. "I'm going to assume you can understand me." Silence. "And I'm also going to assume you're choosing not to answer, which is a very strong conversational strategy." The chamber pulsed softly behind him. He didn't turn around. Not helping. Her gaze remained fixed on him. Not cold, not hostile, just certain. Like she was confirming something he hadn't been informed about yet. He shifted his weight, suddenly aware of how normal he looked in a situation that was aggressively not normal. "So, am I a guest, or is this more of a don't try to leave situation?" "Nothing," he nodded slowly. Right, mysterious silence, very effective. The surface behind him adjusted again, almost encouraging him forward. He glanced back. "You're really committed to this, aren't you?" The chamber didn't answer. It didn't need to. He looked at her again. She hadn't moved. He exhaled. "Okay," he said quietly. "We're doing this." He took a step toward the boundary. The moment he did, the membrane between them softened, thinning as if it had been waiting for permission he hadn't realized he was giving. He hesitated. "If this ends badly," he muttered, "I'd like it noted that I walked into it." The chamber pulsed once. He took another step, and her gaze didn't change, not even a little, which somehow made it worse. The membrane didn't stop him. That was, unfortunately, not reassuring. It thinned the moment he stepped closer, dissolving around his shoulder like it had reconsidered its entire purpose. He paused halfway through, one foot still inside, the other outside, looking like someone who had made a very questionable life decision and was now politely waiting for consequences. "Okay," he said. "No alarms, no sudden disintegration. That's promising." The chamber behind him pulsed, softer this time, like it was trying to be encouraging. "Don't encourage me," he added. He stepped fully through. Nothing happened. Well, something happened, but not the dramatic kind. The space beyond felt aware in a different way, less contained. The air shifted around him, adjusting subtly, like it was testing how close it could get without being noticed. He noticed. "I notice," he said out loud. The air stilled. "Good boundaries." She hadn't moved. That part remained consistent, which he appreciated. At least one thing in this situation believed in stability. He took a cautious step toward her, then another, resisting the urge to look behind him every 3 seconds. "You've been standing there the whole time, haven't you?" he asked. No answer. Impressive commitment. He stopped a few steps away, close enough now to feel something else. Not heat, not cold, but a kind of pressure, like standing near something that occupied more space than it physically should. "All right," he murmured. "That's new too." Her gaze didn't waver. If anything, it sharpened, as though proximity had confirmed something. He shifted slightly. "So I'm just going to ask directly, am I in danger?" A pause, then. "No." The word didn't arrive through sound. It appeared fully formed in his mind, calm and precise, like it had always been there waiting for him to notice. He blinked. "Okay, that's efficient." The silence returned, but it wasn't empty anymore. He rubbed the back of his neck. "You could have started with that, you know. Would have saved me a lot of internal negotiations." She watched him. He pointed lightly toward his head. "Also, next time, maybe knock. That felt like you just moved in." A faint shift passed through her expression. Not quite amusement, but something close enough to make him uncomfortable. "You are stable." He frowned. "I'm going to need more context for that." The space around them reacted again, a subtle ripple moving outward from him this time. He felt it, not physically, but somewhere just beneath thought, like a second layer of awareness pressing gently outward. He stiffened. "That was me, wasn't it?" She did not deny it. He looked down at his hands, flexing his fingers slowly. The air responded again, adjusting in small, precise ways, like it was listening. "I don't like that I understand this without understanding it." "You respond, it responds." He let out a quiet breath. "That clears up absolutely nothing." The structure around them shifted slightly, not randomly, but in alignment with him. Not following, not copying, just matching. He took a step back. The shift followed. He stepped forward again. It adjusted instantly. "No," he said. "We're not syncing. That sounds like a long-term commitment, and I haven't agreed to anything." Another faint ripple passed through the space. He looked at her. "You see this, right? This is happening." "Yes." "Good. Because I was worried I was going to have to explain it." Her gaze held steady, but there was something else now, less observation, more confirmation. "You expected this," he said slowly. "I searched for it." He stared at her. "That's worse." The air tightened slightly, not threatening, just attentive. He exhaled. "Okay, new rule. When you say things like that, you need to follow up with something reassuring." No response. "Anything reassuring?" he added. "Nothing." He nodded once. "Right, we're still working on communication." Another pulse moved through the space, stronger this time, extending beyond the immediate area. He felt it stretch outward, far beyond what he could see, like something much larger had just taken notice. He went very still. That didn't stay here. She stepped forward. It was the first time she had moved. The shift in the space was immediate but different from before. Not aligned with her, aligned with him. He swallowed. "I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this." "You are already doing it." He let out a short, disbelieving breath. That's not helpful. The ripple faded, but the awareness didn't. It lingered, watching, waiting, and somehow listening. The ripple didn't fade the way normal things fade. It lingered, stretched thin across something vast, like a signal that had remembered how to exist but wasn't entirely sure what to do with itself yet. He stood there very still, as if movement might make it notice him more. "I'm being noticed, aren't I?" he said. "Yes." "Great," he replied. "I always wanted to be noticed by something I can't see." The space around him adjusted again, not sharply, not aggressively, just enough to feel intentional. The air held its shape a little longer than it should have. The floor felt certain, like it had decided to trust him, which was a deeply irresponsible decision for a floor. He rubbed his face. "All right, let's review. I woke up, the room listens to me, you speak directly into my head, and now something larger than all of this has RSVP'd to my existence." A pause. "That sounds bad when I say it out loud." She didn't interrupt. That was becoming a pattern. He wasn't sure if it meant she respected his process or simply enjoyed watching him struggle through it. He glanced at her. "You knew this would happen." "I knew it could." "Ah," he said, "uncertainty. That makes me feel much better." The faint pressure returned, not just around him now, but through him, like a distant current brushing against something inside his thoughts. It wasn't invasive, it was searching. He stiffened. "Okay, that's too close." The pressure withdrew slightly, almost apologetic. He blinked. Did it just apologize? It adjusted. "Same difference," he muttered. He took a careful step to the side. The space followed, not copying, but aligning. Again that same unsettling harmony, like everything here had decided he was the reference point. "I don't like being the reference point," he said. "I'm not even the best version of myself most days." A faint ripple moved outward from him, weaker this time but clearer. He felt it pass through the structure, through the unseen layers beyond it, like a message traveling without words. He inhaled slowly. "That's me doing that." "Yes." He nodded once, then immediately shook his head. "No, wait, don't confirm it like that. That makes it real." Another pause. "Too late," he added. The pressure returned, more focused now, not random anymore. It wasn't just noticing him, it was trying to understand him. He pointed vaguely into the air. "All right, listen. Whoever or whatever you are, I'm going to need you to keep a respectful distance from my brain." The response came as a subtle shift closer, then stopping, like it had heard the request and was negotiating terms. He narrowed his eyes. "That's not distance." It held there, he sighed. "Fine, we'll call that progress." He turned slightly toward her. "You said this is a network." "Yes. Like connected systems. Connected awareness." He blinked. "That's worse." The ripple moved again, threading through him and outward, more stable now, more intentional. He could feel patterns forming, recognition building in layers he couldn't fully process. "It's learning me," he said quietly. "It remembers through you." He stared at her. "I don't like that sentence." The pressure deepened, not heavier but clearer. Fragments of something old brushed against his thoughts, not memories exactly, but impressions. Motion. Distance, silence that had lasted too long. He took a step back instinctively. "That's not mine." "No." "Good," he said quickly. "Let's keep it that way." The connection didn't disappear. It settled. Like something vast had decided he was acceptable. He let out a slow breath. "I don't think I qualify for that kind of responsibility." "You are already within it." He laughed once, short and quiet. "That's a terrible system." For the first time she moved closer without hesitation, stopping just within reach. The space didn't shift toward her. It stayed with him. He noticed. She noticed him noticing. "You can't control it," he said. It wasn't an accusation, just an observation. A small silence followed. "No." He exhaled, something in his posture easing despite everything. "That makes two of us." The pressure softened again, no longer probing, no longer searching, just present, waiting. He glanced upward, though there was nothing to see. "All right," he murmured. If you're listening, we're going to figure this out slowly. The response came, not as a ripple this time, but as a steady, quiet alignment, like something vast had agreed to the pace. He nodded to himself. Good, because I'm very slow. The space held. For once nothing pushed, nothing rushed. And somehow, that felt more significant than everything else. The pressure didn't leave him when he moved. That was the first thing he noticed. The second was that it wasn't overwhelming anymore. All right, he said quietly. That's new. The space held steady around him. No sudden shifts, no eager responses trying to anticipate his thoughts. It waited, not passively, just patiently. He glanced toward her. You told it to stop pushing, didn't you? No. He tilted his head, then it listened. A small pause to you. He let that sit for a moment, longer than he expected. Yeah, he murmured. I guess it did. The realization didn't feel as sharp this time. It didn't hit like a problem. It settled like something that had always been there, just waiting for him to stop resisting it. He took a slow step forward. Nothing rushed to meet him. The space adjusted, but gently now, like it trusted him to move on his own. That's better, he said. I appreciate the personal space. A faint, almost imperceptible shift passed through everything around him. Not a ripple, not a surge. More like agreement. He exhaled, a quiet breath that felt steadier than any he'd taken since waking up. Okay, so we're not reacting anymore. We're communicating. Yes. He smiled faintly. That's a big upgrade. The distant awareness, the network, whatever it truly was, remained present but no longer searching. It wasn't trying to understand him by force. It was waiting to be understood in return. He looked upward again, though there was still nothing to see. You don't need me to activate you, he said slowly. You need me to notice you. The response came as a soft alignment, deeper than before. Not confirmation, recognition. He nodded once. Yeah, that makes more sense. He turned slightly, glancing back at the chamber he had come from. It no longer felt like a container or a test, just a starting point. You found me for this, he said, looking at her. I searched for someone who could listen. He let out a quiet breath, something almost like a laugh slipping through it. You could have just asked. For the first time, something in her expression shifted, subtle but real. You would not have believed me. He considered that, then nodded. That's fair. The silence between them wasn't empty anymore. It wasn't filled with tension or expectation. It simply existed, steady and balanced. He looked down at his hands, flexing his fingers slightly. The space didn't rush to respond. It stayed with him, aware but not intrusive. I was trying to control it, he admitted. Yes. He smiled faintly. I'm not very good at that. Another small pause. You are not required to be. He glanced up again, something in that answer settling deeper than the others. No, he said quietly. I guess I'm not. The distant awareness shifted, not closer, not stronger, just clearer. Like something vast had stopped waiting for permission and simply existed alongside him. He didn't flinch this time. He didn't step back. All right, he murmured. We'll do this differently. He took another step forward, not toward anything specific, just forward. The space aligned with him, not guiding, not leading, following. He stopped. No, he corrected softly, not following. The awareness adjusted. With him, he nodded once. That's better. She watched him, but not the way she had before. There was no anticipation left in her gaze, no quiet certainty, just observation, equal now. You don't control it, he said. No. And I don't either. The space held steady. He exhaled. Good, that would have been a problem. A faint, almost imperceptible shift passed through the network. Not amusement, not quite, but something lighter than before. He let out a small breath of laughter. Yeah, I know, I say that a lot. The silence that followed wasn't heavy, it was complete. He looked around once more, not searching, not questioning, just aware. I'm not trapped here, he said. No, I wasn't chosen to control anything. No, he nodded slowly. I was found because I could understand it. The space responded. Not with movement, but with a quiet, steady presence that felt like agreement. He took one last breath, steady and certain. Okay. And this time when he stood there, nothing watched him. Nothing waited for him to act. Everything simply existed, with him, not around him. For the first time since he woke up, that felt right. Stay tuned. I'm waiting for your suggestions.